My friends, you're about to experience a deep dive explanation of Near Protocol and Internet Computer Protocol, as well as price predictions for each of these based on my 10 years in cryptocurrency. Based on last year, I was holding both of these in approximately equal amounts, and I did deep dives into each of them to figure out what is the best investment. I don't care to diversify. I care to find the absolute best investment by far, and then throw in beyond that. So let's start by talking about Near Protocol today. Near Protocol right now is at about $6, with the all-time high being in the last bull market around $20. So about a year ago, it was around $1. Currently, it's about $6 with a fully diluted market cap of $7 billion. But my question is, what is the true value of this technology? I'm not here to just speculate and look at a price chart and hope something goes up. I want to know what's the real value of the technology, and then from there I can decide, is the market cap accurate? Thank you for being first on the live on Twitch and on YouTube. So if you look at Internet Computer Protocol is currently valued at about $5.6 billion fully diluted market cap. So these two cryptos, at least according to the market caps and price chart, on the surface, you would think these look very similar. But the fact is, these are two very different protocols in terms of how they work, what they can do, and what their capabilities are. So let's look at what exactly is Near. Well, the fastest explanation of Near is that technologically, it's basically a copy of Ethereum. I know that's a drastic simplification, but some of y'all have said to make things a little easier to understand. So Near is basically, in the simplest sense, a copy of Ethereum. It can run smart contracts like Ethereum, and like Ethereum, almost everything that's, quote, built on Near actually needs to be built off the blockchain. Now, Near has, if you look at the actual computation Near can do, so if you look at the layer 1 on Internet Computer Protocol's website wiki, and you look at the layer 1 comparison, Near can do about 1,600 million instructions executed per second. This gives you an idea of the raw amount of computation. So compared to Solana and Ethereum and Cardano, Near has a lot more raw computation capability, and this is going to be really important to consider when Near is talking about being able to do AI. We need to look at the computation and decide, can they really do AI? So if you look, one of the founders, the co-founders of Near, recently said they're focused on making the Near home for user-owned AI, and a bunch of people have bought off this. But Near is basically a copy of Ethereum that does have significantly more computation ability. But when it comes to AI, if you listen to an interview with Ilya himself, he talks about the huge quantity of computation, set billions of instructions executed per second for a single AI, basically transaction. So that would, right now, one little tiny thing on AI would use the entire Near blockchain's computation power up. It literally couldn't do anything else. And there's simply not enough raw computation on Near to do anything with AI. So this is where we compare to Internet Computer Protocol. So if you compare it to Internet Computer Protocol can do more than 10 times as much raw computation power as Near. And it can actually run AI directly on chain, which, if you listen to the video that they did with a channel that I can't stand, so I'm not going to promote it, but he did an interview with a channel talking about, I guess we're getting straight kind of into the deep end here, but basically Near is the simplest form. It is a copy of Ethereum with some slight changes. And then if you look at Internet Computer Protocol, this is something that a blockchain that has been redesigned from the ground up. Internet Computer Protocol is the only cryptocurrency that you can actually do computation at scale fully on the blockchain. And if you listen to the Ilya himself said, the real difference for AI is, he said a lot of the same things Dominic Williams said, the founder of Dfinity, which is the main contributor to Internet Computer Protocol, he said a lot of the same things, except they're talking about this in the context of Near, and Near has almost no real ability to actually do anything with AI directly on chain. Now, they're talking about funding AI infrastructure projects, and other people have hyped up Near because of this, but this is why you just have to look at the details. Near cannot run this stuff on chain, and it has no realistic hope of being able to run it on chain anytime for the foreseeable future. So that means if anything that Near is funding, they have to then fund it to have the computation done off chain. And if you listen to Ilya himself, he was just criticizing things like OpenAI and these public companies like Google and Microsoft who've got AI that you can't trust and verify the computation. So even though Near talks a bunch about AI, it's not something the blockchain itself can really do. Instead, if you look at what Near is working on, it's chain abstraction, which if I could put that in the simplest terms for you, it's basically, in the utterly simplest terms, it's like sign in with Facebook. Now, do you think something that sign in with Facebook, or where you can use your existing account to sign in with Google or Facebook and then use something else with the account you've got, do you think that's a big deal? No, that's not a big deal. So Near's technology, to me, the key issue with it, all the things they're talking about are not things the blockchain can actually do itself. And it will be apparent when you start to look into this further. Now, they have 81 transactions per second right now. Now, they claim to have millions of daily active users, but what are those users doing? Those users are using applications that are built off-chain, and then assuming that's even legitimate user data, they're using applications that are built off-chain so that then they're generating tiny little amounts of transactions. So Near right this second is doing 100 and some transactions per second. Now keep in mind, these transactions are way less intensive than what I'm about to show you on Internet Computer Protocol. Internet Computer Protocol is currently right this second doing 4,000 transactions a second. But these are computationally intensive transactions. Hundreds of thousands of Ethereum transactions equivalent per second in terms of the raw computation. And this is what almost no one in crypto will actually do, is look at the technical capabilities of these blockchains. Near, although superior to many of these other chains with lower transaction costs, and you want to compare things though like energy. The amount of energy consumption per transaction, ICP, is hundreds of times, uses hundreds of times less energy than Near does. And here's the biggest thing that when you're talking about AI, you're going to have to store stuff on chain or it's not going to be trustworthy. You can put a gigabyte of data on chain on ICP for $5. That would cost you $1,000 or so, $1,500 or so, or 300 times as much to put the same amount of data on chain on Near. So with that in mind, you can see that the Near Foundation talking about investing in AI infrastructure projects, to me, this is primarily a marketing play where they want to get people hyped up and buying the coin. And these projects are not going to be able to do meaningful computation directly on the chain, though. Therefore, all these things are playing into the price predictions I'm about to make, because this is the truth. This is like the foundation, the real technology. Crypto is not just about the money, and it's about the money because of the technology. So let's compare. Here's one of the biggest weaknesses I've found for Near. So if you look at Near and you want to know, well, who's behind this project? Because Dominic Williams with the Dfinity Foundation made one of the best statements I've heard for doing your own research in crypto. Everybody tells you to do your own research, but how do you do your own research? What's the number one tip to do your own research? Number one tip to do your own research is you need to look at and find the real engineers that are actually working on the technology that you're holding the token for. Because if you don't know the engineers that are really building the technology, they may or may not even exist. think about it this way. If you were betting on a football team to win a game, I would hope you'd know the players on the team. And with a crypto, the foundation, the engineers are the ones doing the work. And if there's not a bunch of engineers with a lot of talent actually building stuff that people are going to use, it's all marketing and hype and speculation, and it's going to go away. I have a bunch of cryptos I'm going to review. Algorand is on the list. Avalanche is on the list. And, all right, so some of you say that daily active users is the most important metric undermining ICP. And I disagree with that, because there's the only thing undermining ICP right now is a lack of understanding in the differences in the technology. And the people who have big amounts of money have research teams who will take the time to figure out what actually is the best technology. So one of the ways you can figure out the technology aspect of things, and it's ultimately technology that drives investment. If Google didn't have the very best search engine in the world, it wouldn't have got, yes, their user adoption is key, but Google got user adoption because they had a superior product, a vastly superior search engine. So I ask you, which has a better product at the same market cap? So Dominic Williams said, if you want to figure out the truth about these altcoins you're buying, look at the people and search for the engineers building on it. So if you search for Near Foundation, which was, I go to near.org and I look at founders. And here's the Founders Hub. It says, welcome to Near, the best place to build Web3 projects. And you've got these resources. Accelerate your commuter journey. But there's not, if you go to the ecosystem and you click on founders, there's literally not a person on here. So I searched for Near Foundation and I find Near Foundation. What is Near Foundation? Near Foundation is a Switzerland-based not-for-profit whose mission is to enable community-driven innovation to benefit people around the world. Now, hold up. I mean, let's read between the lines here. Whose mission is to enable community-driven innovation. So y'all are just hoping people are going to come along and build stuff on this. Y'all just think you're just going to set this up and people are just going to build everything for you. That's not somewhere I want to invest. And that's why I sold my Near. Looking at things like this, enable community-driven innovation. All right. Near Foundation carries out its mission through the allocation of support and resources, mainly money and marketing relationships, I'd imagine, rather than via direct intervention or operations. Well, who exactly is upgrading and making changes to the blockchain? Near's ultimate goal is to minimize its own scope and footprint. So who's doing the research to put these AI applications on the chain? Who's doing that? Now, this gets worse. So the Near Foundation Council is a governing body, similar to a board of directors. Wait. Which is responsible for the ultimate control and oversight of NF and taking significant decisions for the organization. And then there's an executive team also. Okay, so who are these people? Well, here you go. You get 5 people. The 2 co-founders, and then you get these people. And I don't know, are these marketing people? I mean, I've watched an interview with Ilya. What do they do? Do I need to Google each of them? Why? All right, now look. Why is there nothing else? Literally nothing else. Look at the Divinity Foundation's website. Now look at Dominic Williams, founder and chief scientist. You can see he was in crypto since 2013. An engineering entrepreneur. He's got an X and his LinkedIn account. Look at Jan. Jan has 120 widely cited papers. Staff member at IBM. You know, these other people, engineers. And you can see their names. People from Facebook, Google, IBM. All right, so look at all these engineers and research staff on the Divinity team. All right, now let's go back to the Near Foundation. 5 people. Don't even know what they do. I have no idea what they do from this. They could all be business people. They could all be engineers. I have no idea what they do. There's no links to any of their profiles on here. Does this look like something... If you just looked at these 2 pages... Now, I want to tell you, one of these versus this one, do these look like they should be valued the same? 270 team members, largest research and development team in blockchain. 5 people. Yeah, the 5 people do look rich because they basically copied the Ethereum blockchain, made a couple of small changes, launched their own blockchain, and then convinced a bunch of people to use it and throw around a whole bunch of money. But is the technology going to be any good into the future? Unlikely. Now, here's something else I tried to find out. So here's something interesting too. Because the Near network is decentralized, NF does not, and in any case could not, control or directly intervene in the operation of the network. Really? So who exactly is building this technology? Who's building this? Who is getting paid to research? Who is getting paid to research? If you read this and read between the lines, it says the community. The community is just supposed to build stuff. We're just gonna hope the community builds stuff. Right here at Dfinity, I can see there's a massive payroll of engineers and technical staff, which is why they crank out innovations at a record rate. And this is why Near Foundation did the Near had 6, according to, I closed the tab, but it had 6 upgrades to the blockchain last year. 6. Internet Computer Protocol had like 1,000 different proposals that were passed and voted on that upgraded the blockchain. 6 upgrades to the blockchain. Look at I mean, this is a massive difference. Now, I tried to find out with Near, how exactly is the governance done? Because I know with Dfinity, the Dfinity Foundation uses the network nervous system, which is the most advanced DAO in the world, and it automatically upgrades the blockchains. And there have been thousands and thousands of proposals that have passed that automatically upgrade the entire network like this. And Dfinity creates these proposals and votes on them, and other people do also. So how exactly does the Near blockchain technically get upgraded? If there's somebody in the community who's researched something and wants to make the blockchain better, go put, like, where do you actually upgrade this? So I looked around, and I welcome any of you that are watching live. Please give me additional information so that I can, as accurately as possible, cover these things. If you know things that I don't know, please let me know. So I looked around. I'm like, so how does the blockchain get upgraded? So there's gov.near.org, and it says this is a forum. This is a forum that I guess does the Near governance. Okay, but the Near Foundation does not intervene in operating and upgrading, so who actually does? And you've got these, you have these proposals on here. You have various proposals, but, you can talk about them, but where... I did mirror myself. Where's the actual technical upgrading and advancement of the blockchain done? Where are the engineers actually researching this technology and making this better? That's what I want to know. And look at this forum. Look at this forum, man. This is a category for discussions related to development of Near products, including core protocol tooling and various applications. Latest activity is on this proposal, February 8th. Oh, here's one, April 18th. Like, this forum is dead. Like, there's almost nothing happening on their development of Near products, including the core protocol. I mean, this is what almost nobody does. Like, if you look at the Dfinity forum is very active, and there's hot discussions and people are going nuts about stuff. The Near forum, this is dead. This is discussions related to the development of Near products, including the core protocol. And this is exactly what I'm saying. There's no transparency in the actual team that is building this, but this gets even better. Where's that page? I have so many tabs open. I hope I can find that page. There's a page where it says transparency is we're committed to transparency. And we're committed to transparency, and then there's no transparency. I'm like, come on now. Wait, this is it, isn't it? This, this is the page. This is the page right here. Look at this. So if you go to near.foundation, look at this. We exist to enable community-driven. So that means not near foundation-driven. So who's actually researching and advancing this? Well, it looks like almost nobody if you look in the forum. All right, so look at this. Transparency is at the heart of who we are. And the Near Foundation Council, there's 5 people. Transparency is transparency is the heart of who we are. Well, why can't Ilya, I went and found his X link. Why is there no transparency for these people on here? Who is Chris Donovan? Who is Richard Muirhead? Who is Sheila Warren? Why are they here? What do they do? What do they contribute to Near? They've supported hundreds of apps that the Near Foundation has supported, so the protocol itself is just gonna sit there. The protocol itself is just sitting there. Hardly anybody's doing anything to upgrade the protocol itself. We're not talking building stuff that's, quote, on Near. It's like, this is crazy. All right, so this continues to get even better. So look how this is built technically. Thank you, Damien, very much for the $29.99 PLN. Yes, ICP and Algorand is on my list. And the ones you all ask for repeatedly and you want really bad, Algorand, you all seemed pretty sweaty for Near. So I'm doing Near today. But I got Algorand on the list. I have Tau. You mean BitTensor Tau, I imagine? BitTensor Tau. I got Chainlink on there too. I'll bump that up a bit. So yeah, let me know in the chat what do you want reviewed and why do you want me to review it as well. So take a look at this now. So let's look at the technical details of how you, quote, create an app on a Near blockchain. So if you look at how you actually create an app on the Near blockchain, guess how you do that? You do that on IPFS. And what is IPFS? It's Interplanetary File System. It's a protocol.
Hello, Jerry, my bro, waving hand. Maybe one day comparison of ICP Algo. Many people say Algorand has very good tech, and I'm curious, what do you think about this?
I'll give you the short version. Algorand's tech is very similar to Near's. So it's very similar. There's not a whole lot of difference between the actual tech itself. So just the quick executive summary, Algorand and Near are very similar. I'll say a lot of similar things. So Interplanetary File System, this is a protocol and a peer-to-peer network for storing data in a distributed file system, which equals not on-chain, which means if it's not on-chain, there's no decentralization. Whoever the developer is that builds through the Interplanetary File System has total control over the application, which means you can't build true decentralized AI. You cannot build true decentralized social media. You can't build any true decentralized application on Near at all. And that's assuming Near even has any meaningful decentralization, which some people are critical on that angle. But if you can't actually build a real Web3 app or real on-chain AI on Near, now let's go back to price prediction. So does this look like it should be valued more than Internet Computer Protocol? No. Like this to me looks like something that if you can see the truth about it, this is not something that you would want to hold because there's so little you can actually do with this that's on chain. And it has massive competition because of that. Because someone could build on Solana instead of Near. They're both very similar. And someone could build on Internet Computer Protocol. And unlike Near, they could build the entire application like JerryBanfield.com is built 100% on ICP. And it is way cheaper, faster, and more scalable to build this on ICP. I mean, this is almost free to host my website on ICP. And a quick reminder, because y'all keep getting scammed, I do not have accounts at all on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or LinkedIn. I deleted them because those platforms are completely exploitive. And then I'm deleting my Discord and Telegram. I will never message you first. I will never ask you to trade. Do y'all think I have time? I got a wife. I got a family. I got Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I make music. I play video games. Y'all think I got time to be messaging you about trading bots, which go and like, stop getting ripped off by these scammers. You got to go on my website if you want to. The only way to interact with me is while I'm live on Twitch, live on YouTube, and chat with me on Open Chat. Several of y'all have got ripped off of a lot of money with somebody, so stop that. So you all have asked me to say that more often, so there it is. So if you look at NEAR and you wonder, like, why are people investing in this? It's because, and you look at what Aligos just said on Twitch. Look at what CoinMarketCap is saying about this. It says AI and big data. That is a freaking lie. This cannot do AI and big data. At least on chain, and if it can't do it on chain, why wouldn't I just use ChatGPT? Where is the money gonna come from? The business system. This cannot do AI and big data. This is a blatant lie, and CoinMarketCap doesn't even have Internet Computer Protocol on AI and big data, even though Internet Computer Protocol actually ran a real AI model directly on chain, because as I showed you, Internet Computer Protocol has the raw computation power of the network to actually do this. NEAR Protocol does not. Look at the validator node specs. The validator nodes, they have plug-and-play solutions. They have plug-and-play validators. I mean, coño, plug-and-play validators. Please. Internet Computer Protocol, you got to get your own custom-built machine for like $50,000 and put it in a data center. NEAR, you have a plug-and-play validator. And what kind of validators are we talking about on NEAR? We're talking about NEAR's, look at the validator nodes. If you look at the documentation to validate a node, like you can put these, a NEAR validator is cheap. You can stake on NEAR and run a validator for a few $1,000s. And that's why the raw computation power of the network is not there. And if you're investing in crypto, the smart way to me, where all my money is I'm going to bet on technology that's drastically undervalued and that can really change the world. This is not drastically undervalued technology. This is a regular computer spec that you could get for, what is this? Well, that one's $3,200. So this one, you can run a validator on NEAR for $3,200. You could take this one down a little cheaper. And that's why the ones on Internet Computer have vastly superior computation power, because the validators are like, way more expensive. And not just that though, the technology. This team at Internet Computer has spent thousands of years of engineering and person research to actually build the very best technology in all of cryptocurrency. So this is the insanity of computers. This is the insanity of crypto, that NEAR Protocol right now, most people would think that this is more valuable and has more potential than ICP. That's crazy. NEAR has, Internet Computer Protocol could easily 300x from where it's at today. It could easily be as big as Bitcoin, because this is an entirely new way to run the whole internet. You can rebuild the entire internet much more securely with crypto, global currencies, smart contracts, all secured by cryptography. You could rebuild the whole internet, or even just the most vulnerable parts of the internet on Internet Computer Protocol. And this is why a lot of these websites are hiding Internet Computer Protocol from you, and they're selling you the crypto matrix is trying to rip you off. And I guarantee you 99% of the time, Internet Computer will drastically outperform NEAR Protocol going forward, because the only reason you would buy this is because you don't know about Internet Computer Protocol. You don't see that there's something so vastly superior to NEAR Protocol that no developer would build on NEAR Protocol over Internet Computer just for the technology. And the NEAR Foundation is unlikely to have as much money as some of these other ones like Solana. And therefore, if you want to build on stuff like NEAR, there's an insane amount of competition. But if you want to build on Internet Computer, there's no competition. And while some people are so fixated on daily active users, MySpace used to have a bunch of daily active users until Facebook came along with a superior product. I used MySpace. It sucked. It was annoying. And Facebook came along. It was much simpler and faster and easier to use. And it sucked off all the users off of MySpace. An internet computer is going to suck all the users from almost everything else in crypto because it's vastly superior technology. I mean, it's an entire generation ahead in technology. And what most people are not looking at, while most people fixate on daily active users, have you noticed how fast daily active users can disappear? Do you understand how easy it is to fake daily active users or to pay for incentivized daily active users? Do you know what is difficult is to fake something like a web hosting bill, where you're actually burning cycles to do real computation on the network. That is something, and if you look at Internet Computer, the amount of, this is equivalent to paying your Amazon web hosting bill, and the amount of average cycles burned on Internet Computer have just consistently went up and up and up. While the daily active users on almost every crypto platform, they spike during a bull market where you've got all kinds of people temporarily jumping on, and then they plummet. But the daily active users, look at the transactions per second, 115 on Near versus Internet Computer, you've got 4,000, and these are computationally intensive. They're doing at least 10 times as much computation per second as Near. And Near talking about AI to me is completely disingenuous in the context of they can't deliver on it. And if you haven't been in crypto that long, what you might not have seen is how often these projects, they make a minimum viable product. And then what do? They make promise after promise after promise, and they never deliver on the promises. I see no way Near is going to meaningfully deliver on any kind of AI that is anything except basically a copy of the same kind of AI we have now, and perhaps integrates an occasional use of a token. I did not hear Dominic talk about Near and say he has potential. No. So if you have any other questions or you'd like me to cover anything else about Near before we wrap this up, please let me know now, because yes, almost no one is working on look at Near right now. There's plenty of people building applications with the Near protocol, although how many of them would build on Near if they knew what they could build on Internet Computer? How many of those applications are sustainable and going to maintain users over time? But give me some proof. Who actually is working on improving the Near protocol itself? So not building in applications on there. I'm not talking about someone building an app, but again, if you look up IPFS, you're not even actually building applications on Near. You're building basically a wallet sign-in that does a transaction, which is almost nothing compared to the whole computation of the app, which is fake Web3. Gunther, thank you very much for the $2 super chat. I appreciate your support on the channel. I did not buy ICP until I thought it was the investment of a lifetime, which to me it hit $3, and I've now accumulated 5,000 ICP because there is nothing even close to ICP in technology, in the things you can build on it compared to other stuff. There's nothing even close to ICP in terms of the amount of people working on improving the protocol. So I'm not talking about some developer who got a fat paycheck from a foundation to build an application, who then is putting a tiny bit of the application sends a transaction on Near or an NFT collection, and then NFT itself, the pictures hosted off chain. I'm talking about a group of people who are building the bottom underlying layer 1 protocol itself and adapting and expanding and increasing the abilities for that underlying foundation. ICP has the strongest foundation in all of crypto in terms of what the technology itself can do and how fast the technology is advancing. I don't see any proof, although I would hope there are people actually working on Near protocol itself. I can't see any proof of who's actually working on making the Near protocol itself better. And that is an absolute critical flaw. And they could be transparent about that. Like, it'd be very easy for them to be transparent about that. Like, you can see the founders of Near, and they built their, now this also to me is a sign. Like, they founded Near Protocol in 2017, and then they built their own blockchain in 2018. Like, it took a long time for them to actually build Dfinity, the Dfinity team, to actually get the internet computer blockchain live, because it was technically difficult, requiring a huge amount of research to even get it live. Whereas Near, it looks like they just threw this together pretty quickly because it's so similar to everything else that you already see. So the daily active users is irrelevant in terms of the long-term viability of the network. You can always pay people to use something temporarily. But ultimately, if people won't build on it for free, if people won't talk about it organically because it's the best, then you're going to become irrelevant. Just like MySpace is gone because Facebook came along and offered a superior product and very rapidly passed all the users and took all the users off of MySpace. And Near, I've got Arweave up there. My executive summary on Arweave is, it's more big talk. Now, Arweave to me has a bit more real utility because of the storage. I am skeptical as to whether their model is going to work long term, though, when you can pay to store something for like 100 years or so. That seems like that could be a problem at some point, and the storage can end up disappearing and not actually be paying for 100 years. But when you've got a storage platform and then they're trying to, Arweave AO to me seems to be primarily a marketing initiative. And I will review, Arweave is up there, one of the top things I'm going to review next. So they've tried to make it look similar to ICP, but Arweave AO, in some ways it's different in a way that's supportive, but in other ways, the ways it's different make it irrelevant. Because there's centralized servers already that do massive amounts of computation. And if you want to run an AI program, why wouldn't you spin that up on AWS instead of trying to use Arweave? Because they're both similar in that way. But if you want to really run AI that's secure and provable, you need to run the whole thing on chain, and only ICP can do that. Stellar said Near has the market cap this NVIDIA CEO touched Ilya's arm. And this is exactly what I see looking at Near. It's pure hype and speculation, no substance. And because of that, I think it'd be unlikely that Near does even a 10x in this bull market. And I would bet you almost anything next bull market, Near is dead. Because if you want to keep building the same way, things like Ethereum and Solana have way more users. And since Near is so similar and truly offers almost nothing different than those do, and they have more users, Near, guarantee you, is dead next bull market. Whereas ICP very well could be, $1,000 next bull market. What you need to think about in investing is, and this is what I think about. This is my educational material. This is my mindset. This is what I'm doing with my own. This is what I'm doing with my own money. I'm thinking, in the future, what is going to be hyped up and most valuable next bull market? Because I'll sell a little bit, 20% of my liquid bag in ICP, but with Bitcoin, you made the best gains by waiting longer and more bull markets. Gunther, thank you for the $5 super chat after the $2 one before. Have you ever made a video on how to use the ICP ecosystem? So I've made videos on how to set up your internet identity wallet. And then the next key thing to do is to go to OpenChat. So if you click on OpenChat, this is your gateway into the ICP ecosystem. This is actually built on chain. This is on chain. So you couldn't build something like this on Near Protocol. This is on chain. And you sign up, use your internet identity, search Jerry Banfield Internet Identity and Jerry Banfield Network Nervous System. You can do all that for free. You can create all the identities and stuff for free. And then you can join OpenChat. And this is your gateway to the whole ecosystem, because this is like a Discord and a Telegram, but it's directly on chain. Which, Near has nothing like that. Near has Telegram channels Near has Discord channels, which is a great place to get scammed and ripped off, which is why I'm deleting mine. I think Chainlink's going to zero also because oracles are not needed with Internet Computer. These old style blockchains, like these Ethereum copies, like Near, these need oracles, but Internet Computer applications do not need oracles. And in the future, you're not going to need oracles at all. Absolutely, Chainlink's going to zero. Chainlink is also a token. At least Near does have its own blockchain. Chainlink is just a token on Ethereum, which means there's no physical control of the real assets. In theory, even if Chainlink did really well, the token could still go to zero. Even if all the people in the tech at Chainlink itself did great, the token is purely speculative. It's used as a pseudo stock where there's no real ownership. So absolutely, Chainlink is going to go to zero. It will be completely irrelevant. The more ICP gets adopted, the more every other crypto is going to be irrelevant unless, it moves on to ICP, builds on ICP, and gets in the ICP community. And this is a rare time to get involved where people don't know that. And this is why many people will not talk about Internet Computer, because once you see the Internet Computer is the truth and almost everything else is a lie, Internet Computer is the tech and almost everything else is just a copy of lesser tech, it's easy. Crypto becomes easy. And everybody in crypto is ripping you off and making money off of your confusion. And therefore, everybody wants you to remain confused, because if you're confused, you need to buy courses, you need to watch live streams, you need to like people's videos, join their programs. If you're confused, you are joining exchanges and trading, and you don't really know what to trade, so you buy stuff, you don't research, you sell that stuff. When you get weak hands, you buy something else. Everybody's making money off of your confusion, and my goal is to cut through all the fog, the confusion, and the lies, and to show as much like hard, clear research. Like it took me about 6 months using Internet Computer before I kind of started to get it. And Near was one of the tokens I had in my portfolio. But the more I researched both of them, the more I got to see Near, there's nothing here. There's almost nothing here. Internet Computer, there's everything here. This is everything you've ever wanted in a crypto investment. Except perhaps in a short term, it doesn't have as many daily users as some others. But it depends on how you define daily users, because every one of you that goes to jerrybanfield.com is actually a daily user of Internet Computer. And while that does show up on the transactions, that is not generally in the way people count daily active users. So the more apps and websites are hosted on ICP, for example, if you go to OpenChat, you're a daily active user. OpenChat is one of the most active apps in terms of daily active users in crypto. They have thousands of daily active users. But most of the time, none of these users are spending transaction fees in ICP, which that makes sense for mass adoption, because most of the time regular people are not going to want to transact crypto every day. But all the OpenChat users, for the most part, these would not even be counted by the way people do daily active users on most of their metrics. And that's another reason Internet Computer, because it's different, it's also new and it's complicated and people don't understand it. They understand that, an Ethereum, basically an Ethereum copy like Near, that's pretty easy to understand because it's almost the same. So the more people are educated and discover ICP, it's going to be bad for almost everything else. And you all want me to show up and review these cryptos, and you all are so confused. Like, there's so much confusion. I searched Near Protocol today, and I scrolled down, I'm like, paid liar, confused crypto creator just trying to get money for himself, 5 more of those right below him. Like, these are people I wouldn't trust, with anything. Like, these are people that I would not even want to talk to. I can feel they're lying to me. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're promoting one thing after another. Join this exchange. Here, sign up for this VPN. I've got invited to do that stuff. And I'm like, no. I'm not going to shill some stupid VPN, even if I use it. I'm not going to shill some VPN on all my streams just, so I can make thousands of extra dollars a month off of my users. What if my users most of you don't need a VPN? So I'm not going to sell you a VPN, but y'all do need my music. Most of y'all do need my music. Check out jerrybanfield.com and get on. You need some Jerry Banfield music in your life. We got 20-something more Spotify followers this month, which was awesome. So y'all do need my music in your life. Yatesy, nice to see you on Twitch. If you're on Spotify, I got some music that's different. I recommend. I'm putting out a new dance album next week. So I think that's about enough about Near. Any last questions? How about Axelar? It's amazing how fast y'all fill my list up. I deleted the last one. And we're already on to page 2. So I've got to know Algorand, Chainlink, Arweave are some of the most requested ones. Solana, of course, Jasmine. To use Twitch, you can go straight to twitch.tv on the web application. No, you don't need an app. You can do it. You can do it on an iPad straight in your web browser, or you can do it on your desktop or laptop. Any other questions before we wrap up? I learned music production because it's fun. Render, yes, render is on the list. I'll bump that up the list because y'all keep asking about it. I'll bump render up. So right now, and maybe I'll do some polls too. I've got HBARs on the list as well. HBAR and Near, very similar. Do I think ICP is going to crash over 50%? It depends on how high it goes. So I think we're going to hit well into the hundreds in ICP in this upcoming bull market, especially because the more you discover the truth about ICP, the more bullish it looks. So I think we're easily going to hit into the hundreds in ICP. And once the ICP price moves, a lot of people are going to discover how it's different. And Near protocol, I think you'd be lucky to break 50 in this bull market. So I think ICP will vastly outperform Near this bull market. And I think Near will lose almost all of its value and go towards zero in the next bear market. And I think ICP easily gets into the thousands of dollars next bull market. So what I want to do, I want to buy something and hold it forever. Oh, and ICP has 15% APR, much higher than the staking reward on Near, although you need to lock up a lot longer. So I've made my beats. I made some of my beats totally from scratch. I made some of my beats generating in Ableton, and I made some of my beats generating in AIVA, and then I put those into Ableton and then put my own instruments and stuff. So I've had a lot of fun. Playing around with music, and we're going to do some more music, but only on Twitch. Sui is on my list as well. Sui is another copycat Ethereum Near type blockchain. Just another copycat, because it's really difficult. It's really difficult to make something truly new. It's very easy to copy. Do y'all remember school? It was very easy to just copy somebody's papers or somebody else's answers. It was difficult to have your own original thought. And especially in crypto, where it's technically complicated and you need really smart people to actually figure out really difficult problems. Almost everybody in crypto is just doing the least amount of work they can to make their own coin or layer 1 or layer 2, and then they're trying to make the most money they can. And this is why almost all everybody does is make promises, fake daily active users or pay for daily active users. And then over the long term, almost nothing beats Bitcoin, because at least Bitcoin is kind of honest about what it is and it's not misrepresenting itself. Can I review Toncoin? Man, see, you can see what a trendsetter ICP is, that everyone else is trying to lie their way into that they're doing something similar. These coins cannot just suddenly start doing what ICP's doing. The tech is so complicated and advanced, you can't even just copy it that easily. Now, maybe in a few years, you'll be able to copy it. But just like Ethereum, there's a bunch of Ethereum copies today, but none of them are hardly worth a fraction of what Ethereum itself is worth. So even if, some of these coins spin up stuff that's like ICP, the network effect and the growth, ICP, by then, once ICP has the price and the users, given the foundation and how strong it is, ICP shreds everything else in crypto. Scale... Yeah, I've looked at Scale. I want to look at Scale some more. Yeah, I don't use VPN for anything unless I need to switch my IP. I am not interested in doing interviews. I like hearing myself talk too much to do interviews. Thank you for buying Jackpot. Thank you for buying a subscription. I appreciate it. I don't know what they'll say about Apple. How did I make my website on ICP? You can come chat with us in open chat about that, or just read the developer docs and search for that. What's up, Bjorn's? Nice to see you today. All right, my friends, I want to make these a bit shorter, so we're going to wrap this up now. If this was helpful and you haven't already, I trust you'll subscribe and like for more. I'm going to keep talking and streaming on Twitch, and we'll have some fun there. And if you want to always know when these are live, the Twitch notifications, if YouTube doesn't work, go on jerrybanfield.com. Once again, due to y'all asking and getting ripped off in these scams, make sure you always go to jerrybanfield.com to verify which profiles are mine. I do not have a Facebook, an Instagram, a TikTok, a LinkedIn, and I do not use Discord and Telegram anymore either. So do not get scammed, do not get ripped off. If you'd like help, post in my open chat or ask about stuff in Twitch, or, ask about stuff before you do it. I almost got phished the other day, but my MetaMask wallet doesn't have anything in it. You can't steal what I don't have. But there was a really clever phishing scheme going around on Internet Computer. They almost got me, but where they failed was to connect MetaMask. Because you can't phish somebody, at least any way I've ever seen, off of Internet Computer's wallet, but you can off MetaMask. So, much love, Kelly, Joshua, Thought Buddies, Tartar, Video Game Time Warp, Indo, Hustle for Crypto, Shaka, Akeem, Claudio, CWJ, Coinopoly, Beerens, Nicholas, Poiper, Sean, thank you for being here. If you haven't signed up for Twitch, I invite you to try something new today. Try something new. It'll feel good. Go to jerrybanfield.com, sign up for Twitch if you haven't already. All right, see y'all later on YouTube.